Hello, everybody. How you doing today? This is Sakoni Prince, and I am super excited to welcome you to another episode of our H.E.A.L podcast. H.E.A.L is an acronym for Help, Elevate, and Learn, and it's a guide for healing your inner child. And it goes with my best-selling book by the same title, H.E.A.L. You know, one of the reasons that I wrote this book and started this podcast because I really wanted to start the conversation about childhood wounds and childhood trauma, but more importantly, childhood healing. Healing that inner child, that part of us that may have been wounded or hurt when we were younger, and is still showing up in our behavior today. And I'm super excited because for the first time on my podcast, I have not one, but two guests. And I know that they are going to actually share some information that's going to change your life. I was on their show earlier this morning, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I do have to I have to tell you about our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by none other than BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who's had years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or your computer, via a phone call, a video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable. It is the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal or choose Sakoni Prince Heal during your sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. And we are so excited and happy that BetterHelp has decided to come alongside and partner with us to actually sponsor this podcast. And I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that need to actually take the time to look at themselves, to work on themselves, to figure out if something that they're doing today was seeded in their childhood. Because I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that are facing and really struggling with childhood wounds and childhood trauma. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote this book, because I know it's important for us to have these conversations. And like I said, this podcast, this book is to start the conversations, not the end, but to start the conversations. And with that being said, I want to share this quick commercial, and then we're going to get into our guest.
In a world where adulting can often seem overwhelming, there's a secret key to unlocking true serenity: healing the inner child. Within the pages of the acclaimed book, Help, Elevate, and Learn, a guide to healing your inner child, discover a journey, a transformation, or rebirth. This isn't just about reading, it's about embarking on a path to self-discovery and inner peace. Simultaneously, tune into the soothing waves of the Help, Elevate, and Learn, a guide to healing your inner child podcast. A sanctuary where candid conversations blend with expert insights, creating a harmonious symphony of healing. Each episode is a step closer to unburdening that youthful spirit within. Remember, it's never too late to offer compassion to that child within you, to rewrite your story with a happier, healthier narrative. Healing the Inner Child, the book, the podcast, the journey. Step into the world of self-healing and witness the transformation unfold.
So that just in video form is what I was just talking about, how these work in tandem, they work together, and you can find out more information by going to SakoniPrince.com/heal. Now, I do want to take the time to invite our guests, and I can't tell you, their excitement and their energy is infectious. And being on their show this morning, even before we got on, I'm telling you, it was just phenomenal. And you are in for a treat today. So I'm going to bring up to the stage none other than I was going to say the Empowerment Twins.
Empowerment Duo.
The Empowerment Duo, none other than Brian Keith McNeill and his wife, Lisa Santiago McNeill. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Well, first off, Sakoni, thank you for having us. We're excited about being here. You were a phenomenal guest on our show this morning.
We had a lot of fun with you today.
Yep. But this is my beautiful wife, Lisa Santiago McNeill.
And he is Brian K. McNeill.
And together make it what's called the Empowerment Duo. We work together as a couple, but we also have separate businesses as well. For example, this amazing woman is not only a publisher, but she's a coach's coach. To her credit, she has helped more than 150 books be born since 2016. That's what she's done.
Wow. Absolutely. And as important as it is to birth those books, it's more important to understand that every book is a business. And in order to sell a book, somebody has got to sell the book. So my husband comes alongside as the sales confidence coach and helps you to understand that God wants you to let your gifts make room for you.
Yes. Now, we both are speakers, but we also both are authors. I've written and published 7 books. Lisa has written and published, I think, 9. Am I about right?
That's right.
Okay. So we're excited about being here and what Saucony has.
Well, we are super excited to have you. And I can honestly say I got some catching up to do because this is my 6th book. So I have a couple of more that I need to put out as well. But listen, I do want to thank you. Oh, and this is what I wanted to say about being on your show this morning. You know, before we got started, just the love and the care that y'all have for each other is so, it's beaming. I mean, it's just shining. It's so radiant. And I truly love that, which made me think about, and I know I sent you this picture earlier, but I want to put it up again. And for those that are listening to the audio of this is a picture.
Yeah.
This is a wireframe picture of a man and a woman sitting back to back. But inside the wireframe, there are 2 children that are reaching for each other. And this was a sculpture that was actually created by a Ukraine artist, and it's actually in the Midwest. But when I saw this picture, I thought, that's it. Because all of us have in us that inner child that wants to connect, that wants to be loved. But for whatever reason, there are so many things that will keep us from doing that. But I don't see that with you two. Because this morning, what I saw was like, it's 2, like a man and a woman facing each other, and your inner child are inside just playing and just enjoying themselves.
That's amazing.
So I guess my first question is, how would you describe to somebody that wanted to get to that place in their relationship, what do you think needs to happen?
Oh, wow.
Well, I'd like to answer that if you could.
Go ahead, babe.
If we could. So in the first place, it didn't just happen. In the first place, both of us had a responsibility to work on ourselves. And the way that God worked it out was once we had worked on ourselves and worked through some issues, worked through some things about realizing, or to use your verbiage, healing our inner child, we were able to come out and play. We had some healing, so we were able to come out and play. Now, we still have some things that we get to meet and figure out along the way, but we've realized that that communication is important, but also honoring the fact that there are some things that we brought with us that didn't have anything to do with each other.
That part right there.
Yeah. I gotta say. What'd you say, sir?
Something you want to add?
Of course. You got something you want to add? Yeah, man, I'm ready too, because I think you were very perceptive this morning. And when you said you saw our inner child's dancing, because I take delight in my wife. I think she's amazing. I think she's beautiful, and I'm happy to have her. But she's not the first wife I had. Now, there was 10 years between my last wife and Lisa. 10 years. I dated a lot, but none of them was my wife. Lisa became my wife probably the first day I met her in person, because what I had become as a man and what she had become as a woman connected the right way. And the truth be told, Saucony, it took me 2 years to manifest my wife. 2 years of praying consistently that God send me the right woman for me.
Amen.
That was my prayer. I took all the hooks off. I didn't say she's got to look like, do like, be like, do that thing I like. None of that. Okay. I just said, Lord, send me the right woman for me. And I did it in a corporate prayer with the men in the men's group. So we was praying that prayer for Brian because they wanted Brian to find somebody. They did. They loved me. They wanted me to have somebody, But it took me 2 years of that prayer. And when Lisa showed up, that was the end of the game for me. I wanted her. That's it. And we get asked this question a lot. How do y'all work together so well? And how do you work with your wife? And Sakoni, men that ask me that question, they act like I'm holding a secret from them, man. They don't want to believe the answer most of the time. I say to them, I don't look at it like I'm working with my wife. I look at it like I'm working with my best friend. And they go, no, man, how do you do that?
Wow. Well, listen, I know how helpful it is to have that type of relationship, and it does make everything that you do. I mean, it's literally, it's like child's play because you get to hang out with your best friend. So these questions and stuff that I want us to get into, and again, like I say, we're gonna keep this real loose, but I do want to ask both of you this: in your opinion, how important is inner child healing?
It's imperative.
Yeah.
It's imperative. There's no way that I would be, do, have, or have become who I am and be with the husband that I'm with, as we're speaking about it with regards to relationships. But it's also important for me to have gone through that as it relates to business as well. My business is being in alignment with who I was created to be. And I could not become that without getting rid of, navigating, or appropriately understanding some of the experiences that I had.
And it's ongoing too, Sakoni. There's no ending to it. It's just that we constantly are monitoring.
Oh, I still do. I still work with my coach, my therapist. I still do that on a regular and consistent basis. Mindset is imperative.
And we police the mindset a lot.
I police it hourly. I was getting ready to say daily, but I have to say hourly.
So, but it's a maturity level too. You have to want to heal, because all of life is suffering. All of life is having a challenge. All of life has gone through some things. You don't know anybody that's not dealing with something. You can stop anybody anywhere in the world and say, I heard about that problem, and they'll want to know who told you.
Right.
Because we all are. Right. Understanding that, what makes it work for us is a couple of principles. This goes back to one of the first questions you asked us. I wanted to put this out there. We have principles that our marriage operates within.
And the first principle we agreed on from the beginning: seek to understand
before being understood.
Absolutely.
That's a guiding light principle for us. We have to assume that if there's ever a dispute, both sides are at least partially right. So it's my job to seek to understand why she feels that way first. And at the same time, it's her job to try to understand as fast as she can, why does he feel that way? And that's why none of our arguments have ever been extended. We have arguments, but they're always brief, because we want to understand.
That's I don't even think we've really had arguments. We've had disagreements. We've had one
discussions.
We've had one actual argument, and it was live on the show, and it was over before the end of the show. In 9 years, we had one fight.
On our live show.
And it was on the live show, and it was over, kiss and make up before the end of the show.
The audience loved it for some reason.
A good friend of mine called them intense moments of fellowship.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too.
Yeah, intense moments of fellowship.
Of seeking to understand before being understood, and to hear each other out, man. Give each other what they need. Now, we do work together, but we have separate offices in our home.
Yeah.
You need your respective corners to retire to, too. My office is down the hall. I am in Lisa's office right now. But when our show is over, I leave Lisa's office and go to my office. Now, we work together a lot, but we have to work separate, too. But I do think we need that delineation. I need my office, and she needs her office.
Yeah, that's so true. I have something for you guys, but I'm going to have to give it to you after the show's over, because it is, you'll understand, in fact, when I share it with you.
Oh, man, you got to audience
to it.
I'm telling you, I know that you two are the best option for this. So,
wow.
We'll talk about that later. All right. So our second question is, in your professional opinion, when should someone start inner child work?
Yesterday.
Yeah. It's either yesterday or sometime in the past. It's either now or sometime in the past.
Absolutely.
If they've never done it, today's the day to start it. And take baby steps towards it.
And understand that everybody's trauma doesn't have to be the same. Your trauma and your issues are your issues. That's why it's really important not to minimize or try to one-up somebody when they're sharing something with you. Oh, that's what you're going through, or that's what you went through.
Let me tell you about my problem.
Let me tell you about this. No, don't do that. Allow everybody to understand that your issues are impacting you from the level of which you experience them. You didn't have a chance to benchmark your situation against mine, but it still impacted you and your growth and development. So it is still imperative for you to take some time to seek to understand how that changed you, how it impacted your etymology of understanding.
And I think the key word is seeking to. You're looking for.
Absolutely.
That's it. You may not have the right answer, but you're heading towards it. That's all.
Okay. There's a buzzword that's going around now called emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence. And I think that, that there has to be that level of marriage, between those two, the emotions and the intelligence, because if you have one without the other, it's off balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can be all emotional, right, but you're not considering the actual impact, that your behavior is having on other people, or you could try to be all intelligent and just leave the emotional part out of it and not even consider it. And so that's where I think a lot of relationships have that kind of crash. And so it takes a level of emotional intelligence for both parties, in fact, to be able to do what you just said, to actually be open to hear and to seek to understand where the other person is coming from. But I think too that it's also important for the person themselves to understand that, and then try to communicate that, because if you can't communicate it, it's real hard for the other person to understand.
Absolutely. Communication is a really important element.
Sakoni, you ain't gonna believe this. Lisa's trying to play footsies with me while we on your show. Can you believe that, Sakoni? I'm like,
I can. Actually, I can. I can believe that. Where your hand at? Where your hand at? I don't see your hand, Brad. Where your? Oh, no.
I can't.
But anyway, we were saying
communication is one of the things that we both brought into the relationship. We were both communicators. We were both seeking to continue to learn how to communicate to others even better with words. We're both motivational speakers. We're both inspirational speakers. We're both ministers. We both had an affinity for ensuring that the heart was taken care of as much as the relationship.
Okay.
That we're in alignment in more than just we look good together. We do look good together.
I think we look good together too. but there's places, Sakoni, that and your artwork illustrates a lot to me. They're back to back, okay, but they're touching still. Okay, the skeleton is back to back, but they're still touching. But their inner child is reaching for each other. I think that's significant imagery to me.
It is.
Okay, because there are places that you highlighted when we were getting ready for this that Lisa does better and I need her to do. Okay, and there are things that I do better and that she needs me to do.
Absolutely.
And we both understand that. Okay,
Absolutely.
We understand that on a high level, Sakoni.
Yeah. So people have actually commented on that, Sakoni. In as much as we do work together as business partners and business owners, people often ask us, how then do we settle disputes when it comes to business? And what we've often decided as just almost as a default is that whosever lane it is,
right,
their vote carries more weight.
You got a decision about publishing. That's not my game.
No, stay out of the conversation. I still want to hear what he has to say.
And I'm going to tell her what I have to say.
And I want to hear
it.
But
ultimately, the final decision has to be hers.
Right.
Because that's what she do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And when it comes to sales, I defer to him.
Because that's what I do.
Absolutely.
Sales.
Now, when that's when it's in business. Now, when it's in the home, we have a rather conventional situation. It's more conventional. He does consider my opinion and my side, and I do get a vote, but he carries the weight of what the outcome is. So therefore his vote might be more than mine.
And plus or minus, pro or con.
Absolutely.
So if I make a decision, we got to go that way.
Right. But he has to also bear the responsibility.
I got to own it though. Yes.
Of that decision.
You decided that, bro. It didn't work out, but it was your decision. Okay, but still, we got to move. We got to move forward, though.
I do every effort not to say "told you so" and make sure that
you never do that.
No, I don't.
She never says "I told you so."
I am mindful that now we just got to dig this ditch out together.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Husbands and wives. Lisa's been hosting a women's meeting since 2013. So I've been hosting a men's meeting since 2013. And I've conveyed it to my wife, and my wife has done an amazing job helping other women to understand this. But if your husband makes a mistake, which he will because he's a human being, or if he has some fears or concerns, if he tells you about a fear, or if he tells you about a concern, or if he trips and falls, if he tells you about that, you can't sting him. You can't exacerbate it. Absolutely. Because then he'll tell you less and less. Baby, they've been laying off people at the job. Damn it, you always losing jobs. I didn't say I lost my job yet. I'm just saying this is what's going on. Oh, man, what are we going to do if you lose your... Oh, she made it worse. He expressed a concern, and she made it worse, which makes next communications more and more difficult.
And it actually draws you further and further apart. Sakoni, Brian just mentioned that he has had a men's group from 2013, and I've had a women's group from 2013. Both of us didn't meet until 2015.
That's right. And we were in separate cities.
And we were in two separate cities. So there's been some alignment going on even before we met.
And we still have meetings going on. Yep.
Well, that is a blessing for sure. For sure. Okay, so our next question is, how does trauma show up in life and relationships?
You willing?
Yeah. I'm willing to go because it's going to show up because it affects your decisions. It affects how you protect yourself. It affects situations that you allow yourself to be in because of past traumas. But there are lessons in those past traumas too.
Absolutely. There are lessons in those past traumas, so much so that I think it's important for you to navigate through your trauma, because there are often lessons in there for things that you need in your life that you would have never signed up for that class if you had not been involved in it personally. There are some traumas. I came from a very traumatic and abusive origin. My origin story is a little bit difficult for many people to hear, particularly my husband.
I can't hardly stand it, but go ahead.
But it's important to understand that there were some lessons that I learned about myself when I took the time, in the right presence of mind, in the strength that I am in now, to go back and look at some of those situations. I saw that they created some resilience, some tenacity in me. They created some situations, absolutely, some grit that I might not have had if I had not gone through those things that I went through at that time.
And they were horrible and ugly, but she made it past it.
Absolutely. They're in the rearview mirror, but they still have some lessons inside of them. And I am not afraid to go back and delve through, sift through, if you will, to see what nuggets of wisdom did I have in this situation that I can now bring forth in my life right now to use for myself, or for the other women in business, or the other women that I serve. How can I use this information and this experience to benefit moving forward?
I think I mentioned it this morning when you were on our broadcast this morning, Sakoni, the lesson of asking the question, what happened to them? Instead of what's wrong with them.
Right.
What happened to them?
Well, and I guess I want to ask you a question, Lisa. So that you had to make a choice, right? A choice to glean those lessons and a choice to like develop that type of grit and that type of fight, based on like what you went through. Could that be a true assumption?
So the grit and resilience was developed as a result of the experiences. I was a product of neglect and abuse at a very young age, and actually ran away from home at 13 years old. So I've been on my own for quite a few years. And so I learned that I had some ability to sort of take care of myself, to think on my feet. Even when I dropped out of school, I learned that it wasn't the school that I dropped out of. It was the fact that school was holding me back. It was not allowing me to move forward because I didn't need another chemistry class. I needed to be able to earn enough money to pay my rent at 16 years old. You see what I'm saying? So I dropped out of high school and went to business school. They didn't ask me if I graduated from high school, and I didn't bother to tell them.
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you at all.
So I went from there and actually ended up moving through. I ended up working at IBM for 20 years as a service delivery manager, second only to the VP of IBM, with them paying for all of the certifications that I gleaned after that. Never had the conversation of get a GED or a high school diploma, never needed one. Wow. And so understanding that those situations allowed me to matriculate to life, to now being a 27 best-selling author producer.
Amen.
International author producer, over 85 businesses created during a pandemic. Amen. And helping people to turn their lives around if they would just take a moment to look at what their current situation is from the right perspective.
That
perspective
part
being the key.
Yep. That part. Well, the next question I have is, what do you think is the biggest obstacle when it comes to inner child healing?
Yourself.
Yeah. The willingness to go there, like Lisa just said, she was willing to glean from it and she's willing to delve into it. But trying to, and this is what I think happens most of the time, Sakoni. I think most of the time people try to act as if it didn't happen. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. Okay. I don't need that back there anymore. But until they're triggered and then they break down and cry. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to talk about how my mother treated me until mom passes, and then they can't move forward at all because they never got a chance to heal that.
Absolutely.
Right.
The acknowledgement of everything.
Yeah. I definitely think that is the actual starting point. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book and also have this podcast, because I really want to make it normal for us to talk about this level of wounding, this level of trauma, but also this level of healing. And I remember hearing Dr. Phil say this, and he quoted it from someone else, but he said, you can't fix what you won't face. And so we have to be willing to face our wounds, our traumas, so that we can eventually do the work that's needed to heal from them. And I had one of the therapists that was on here a couple of weeks ago.
But wait a minute. You're bringing up Dr. Phil. Well, Dr. Phil's a businessman. He wears business clothes. He makes business decisions. Okay.
Okay.
Lisa loves when I do my.
She
loves when I do my Dr. Phil impression.
When we were dating, Brian serenaded me with his Dr. Phil.
She used to love it.
So your next book is going to be How to Be a Mac Daddy? Is that
it? What were you thinking?
Right, Mac Daddy McNeill. That's what.
I'm not Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
One of my guests, she actually talked about how healing hurts. And when she said that, I immediately thought about, because a lot of people don't know this, and you probably couldn't tell it just looking at me and knowing me and seeing me physically. But in 2017, I had a total hip replacement. I had a total hip replacement. And after the surgery, the physical therapist came in and he said something to me that was so telling. It really helped me through my entire physical therapy process. He said there's a difference between pain and soreness.
Yeah.
He said, you were experiencing pain because of your hip. Now we have to push past that soreness to get the full range of motion. Because immediately, when you started twisting and turning my leg, I'm thinking to myself, oh, the pain is still there. He said, no, it's soreness. And we have to push past that. And that helped me to understand what I needed to go through in order to be able to heal. Absolutely. And to actually get the good range of motion that I needed in order for me to get back to the life that I wanted. And I tell people this all the time. I thought about my surgery after it was over, because honestly, I was just looking at the life that I was going to have after the surgery. I wasn't overly concerned or overthinking what I was dealing with as far as having a surgery. I looked at, this is going to allow me to be able to do this, and it's going to allow me to be more mobile. It's going to allow me to go and touch more people's lives and be more active. This is going to give me the freedom that I need, because right now, at that time, just a quick caveat, we took our middle daughter for some college tours. And of course, they have you walking around the campus. And I'm telling you, every time we stopped, I would look for a place to sit because my hip was just hurting. Yeah. This was before my surgery. I did not want that to be the rest of my life. So I wanted to have the surgery. So I was looking at the other side of the pain. Right. And that's what I think that a lot of us need to do, even in healing our inner child. We need to look beyond the pain that we have in order to see the freedom that's available to us.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful illustration. The difference between pain and soreness, and you recognizing what your life is going to be like post-surgery. That's a wonderful illustration. That's probably going to be one that you want to preach on and teach on a lot, Sakoni. Yeah.
Well, I mean, believe me, I have enough material, enough insight from great people like yourself that have just continued to fuel this passion of mine. And that is truly introduce people to themselves. But again, I see a lot of people that are dealing with things that they haven't really identified as childhood trauma, but quite frankly, they are. And that actually brings me to our next question. How can someone help somebody else who's struggling to identify the need for inner child work?
How can someone help someone that's struggling to identify the need for inner child healing?
Yes.
Challenging for me. I don't know how.
I really think encouraging them to get professional help. Encouraging them to get professional help, because and encouraging them to understand that there's nothing wrong with that. It's time out now for the thinking that we can just pray these things away.
Yeah, that's that part.
It really is important for us to understand that there is a reason why certain people go into this line of business. There is a reason that there are training and certifications and requirements for helping someone with inner healing and inner child work.
And Sakoni, when I said, I don't know how, that was helpful, because it ain't for everybody to help someone to do that. They should go to someone that's a professional.
Absolutely.
Your girlfriend, your boyfriend is not trained in that. Okay.
Right.
Your pastor may not be trained in that.
Absolutely.
But there is someone who is. Okay. Right. Lisa's right. It's time out for this. I'm just going to pray on it and be over with. I'm just going to pray on it. I'm just going to mask it. I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to do this. That's not fixing it. Not fixing it.
Yeah, that reminds me of this story/joke of this deacon and preacher. They had gone out fishing and they were in a boat, and a storm came up. And the deacon, in fact, looked at the preacher and asked him, said, "Are we going to pray or are we going to row?" And the preacher said, "We're going to do both. That's right. We're going to pray and row." Yeah. And so I think a lot of us, we get kind of caught up in just one aspect of it, but don't realize that there's a part that we have to play. And my pastor oftentimes tell us, God's going to do his part, but we have to do ours. And he will help us do ours, but there's a part that we have to do. So, yeah. We can't just pray stuff away. We have to put in the work in order for the healing to happen.
Absolutely. Jesus said it himself. Will you be made whole?
Will you?
Yep.
Will you be made whole? We gotta make a decision.
Yes.
That's something that we want to attain for ourselves.
That's it. And I actually skipped over this question, but I think we've already answered it. And that is, do you believe that people can do inner child therapy alone? And of course,
I don't.
Yeah. I think you can start the process yourself, but there comes a point to where you have to honestly get professional help, especially if the trauma is deep and if it's long lasting. You definitely need to get some professional help. A lot of people can do self-reflection and self-accountability. That's one thing. But when you've been wounded, when you have trauma, I honestly believe that you need to get some level of professional help.
Absolutely. I think professional help should be the norm, actually. More people need to realize that even coaches need coaches.
Well, without help and without a coach, it's not a fair fight. Okay? It's just not fair. If you're going through life without a coach and someone else is going through life with a coach, it's an unfair fight. They have an unfair advantage.
Absolutely.
In sports, high school basketball, football, whatever, if one team coach doesn't show up, they make them forfeit the game. They count that as a loss because it's not fair for you to play a team with a coach and you don't have yours.
Absolutely.
So you forfeited now. You've lost. That's how life is too. None of us have lived long enough to have enough experience in all the areas that we have to navigate through. None of us have. We all need help. Coaches need coaches. No one ever has, Sakoni, achieved great levels of success in anything. Not in business, not in sports, not in the arts, not in the community, not in marriages, without some coaching and some mentoring.
Absolutely.
We need them all. And so we might as well stop fighting it and accept it. You're not going to do this well in your own strength. You need help too.
That is so true. I am a huge advocate of having individuals that can come alongside people that really want to see you succeed and want to see you win, keeping them close and allowing them that level. You know, the Bible says faithful are the wounds of a friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they have to be a friend. You know, when you talk about an enemy or a stranger, a friend, someone that you have built a relationship with. And it's a two-way street. You know, I have friends, some in town, some out of town. And I tell people all the time, get a friend out of state. So they're not trying to figure out, like the names and the players and stuff. Someone that you can actually get the insight and the wisdom. I had a chance to do that this week with a good friend of mine. He lives in Georgia. He called me and he had this situation he was dealing with, and he asked for some insight and some actual input. And even while he was talking, I was praying and asking God to give me what I needed to give him. And by the end of our conversation, he was ready and raring to go. But I know that that's not a one-way street. Our relationship isn't one-sided, because there have been plenty of times when I've done just that with him, and I've gotten the same level of help and care.
Absolutely.
Listen, we have had an amazing opportunity and an amazing show, and I know that people are saying, okay, look, we see them on the screen, we see that they're empowerment duo. How can we connect with them? How can we find out what they're doing? If they want to write a book, how can they reach out to you? What is it? Give them all of the deets, as the young people say.
Well, the easiest way to get to both of us is to go to the link that I'm going to send to you right now, so you can put it on the screen.
She's sending it to you in the private chat, Sakoni.
Absolutely.
But her full name is Lisa Santiago McNeill. If you were search that. Lisa Santiago McNeill. If you want to find me, it's Brian K. McNeill.
Absolutely.
Brian with the letter K and McNeill. That's how you find us. If you Google us, or if you search on LinkedIn, or you search on Facebook, you find us that way. Together, we're the empowerment duo. But individually, find us that way. So, Connie, I hope you got the link that Lisa sent to you.
Yes, I did, and I'm actually trying to see where can I put it, because I did have in fact, I had a little scroller.
It's a link tree for someone listening. It's
so
a link tree.
You can copy and paste it and put it in your banners, and then you can scroll.
But it's link tree, the Empowerment Duo.
Okay.
The Empowerment Duo. If they want to, that's like a catch-all phrase for both of us stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you can always slide into my DMs, slide over into his DMs. We are on Facebook. We are readily available. None of our information is private, so that you can get our phone numbers there. You can find out how to email us, all of those things. I'm not on LinkedIn.
I am.
There you go.
There you go.
There it is. It took me a minute, but yeah, there you go. Linktree/Empowerment Duo.
The Empowerment Duo. Yes, sir.
The Empowerment Duo.
Yep.
So listen, I can't thank y'all enough, in fact, for being on my show, and it was such an honor, in fact, for you to share me with your audience, and I'm so glad that we were able to actually reciprocate this even today.
Same day. Woo!
Know that I'm going to be chopping this up, putting this everywhere, that I have a presence. LinkedIn, it's streaming on YouTube right now. It's on my Facebook page. I'm going to put it on my Instagram. I'm going to take this and actually put it up on my Spotify. So I'm going to send you all of those links as well. But thank y'all so much for being on our show. And we appreciate you for taking time out to actually share with us just how important inner child healing is. And
absolutely,
I am so inspired by you two. And I want you to know that oh yeah, in fact, that reminds me, in fact, we need to wrap this up, because I got to give you what it is I got to give you, because I know that you two are going to take this and run with it. But with that being said, I'm going to close out the show with my scissor reel, and then, we'll see y'all next week.
Well, my name is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. I'm a motivational speaker, a trainer, and a coach. I'm also an author. I help people in the area of personal development and leadership development, because I believe that you can't lead others until you learn how to lead yourself. But once you learn how to lead yourself, the next logical step is that you lead other people.
Sakoni Prince is the best keynote I've ever seen.
He really encouraged me so much.
He has this ability of seeing in people what they don't see in themselves.
He was so confident. When he was coming to the stage, you could see like, wow, this is a lion.
Any actor that's going for a role, they do a case study. If I'm going to be a fry cook, I go to a restaurant and watch people that are fry cooks. If I'm going to be a mob boss, I go and, maybe not go to with a mob, but you take some notes as to what they do. Our children are watching. What can they reference when they step into our shoes?
I do what I do because I believe that people have truly yet to understand their purpose. Once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. But until you know who you are, anything can. So my goal is to really help people to understand their purpose and their calling. And oftentimes they have the answers themselves, but they're not asking the right questions. So I help people to get to that place to where they look at themselves, they step back and they see how they've been a help to those around them and what really drives them. And from that, they really understand the value of it. They learn to value their value and see what value their value brings. Because a lot of people, they have yet to do that.
Until you know who you are, anything can stop you. But once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. I want you to understand that you are blessed. That you are blessed to be a blessing. That there is somebody looking up to you. They're looking at you. Don't ever forget that. Because if you ever do, you're going to leave them without a mind.
I've learned so much and I've experienced a lot of interactions with people.
The practical approach, like you can't just sit down there, you have to walk up to an opportunity. Sometimes you have to grab the opportunity. Sometimes you have to fight for the opportunity. There's so much life lessons.
I think from today onwards, I'll stretch out and reach to higher levels.